Hi, and welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your co-host, Michelle, and this week we have Kat back with us again. Thanks for
Hi
joining,
all.
Kat. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Um, I'll set an intention for today unless you want to do it.
Go for it.
I feel like today we're going to talk about community and the people we surround ourselves with. So, for today, my intention is to bring in the utmost gratitude and appreciation for the people that resonate and vibe with us, and not only the ones who currently exist, but also the ones who are coming in as well. Because I really believe that we are in a flow state of finding our people in a really cool way. How's that sound?
Perfect. I'm
Yeah.
nodding. No one can see that, but I'm
Yeah,
nodding.
no one can see you nodding. Oh my gosh. We were just talking a little bit before this about people and the people in our world and how sometimes the smallest things that we do can have like this profound impact on others and we don't even realize it. And how I don't know how it made me feel is it matters how I show up. And I'm really grateful that these days I'm so intentional about how I show up. I'm not saying I get it
Hmm.
right all the time, but I'm
Hmm.
saying I'm very mindful and intentional about how I want to show up on any given day. And pardon my voice, I am just getting it back after after travel and allergies kicking my ass. So
So if Michelle cuts out, she's coughing and I'm covering for her. So just so y'all know.
So this will be an interesting little dance. So thank you for being one of my people because I know that I can
Oh my
count on
gosh, thank
you.
you for being one of my people. I got so fortunate and I'm so grateful.
Me too. It's pretty amazing. Um, it's just pretty amazing when you find people that make you smile from the inside out. I've been saying that a lot lately, but it really is how I feel. I feel like my soul is smiling and has been for quite some time. And I didn't grow up feeling that way, which is weird because it's not like I didn't have opportunities to. I just had all these stories in my head that were not kind or
Hmm.
focused on anything good because for some reason I just didn't feel I deserved it,
Hmm.
which is such an interesting, like I feel like I carried that forward from a past life.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I just brought that in with me and hung on to it hard and been hanging on to it for a really long time. And this lifetime is where I was like, yeah, I'm done with that bullshit.
Part of the lesson, right? Like that you signed up to figure out when you
Hmm.
came here, I guess.
I guess.
Or
So,
whatever. Whatever you believe. I don't
um, but you mentioned just a quick little story. I actually think I want to start there about someone that
know. Oh,
contacted you. Will you tell it? Would you be willing
I
to
will.
share it with the audience?
Yes, I will. I will totally tell it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a psychologist, and part of my work in my postdoctorate training was at Melrose Center. And so I worked with clients that struggle against eating issues. And I worked with a young woman. She was like in her mid-adolescence, I think, and she was an athlete, a high school athlete. Um, and we were working on eating disorder stuff. And so we met, we worked together, and our work sort of closed. She took off. I lost track of her. Like, I'm a therapist. I'm not allowed to talk to my people when they're done. And I got a call out of the blue. Best voicemail like ever. One of the best ones of my life. And I literally kept it until I left Melrose. I kept it for years. And I just had it on my on my voicemail as a reminder that like you like, yes, you can be a good therapist, like you do impact people. And this woman called me and she's like, hi Kat, I haven't seen you, I haven't talked to you for a couple of years, and I want to give you the update. Like, you have been so impactful in my life and I'm in a totally different place because of you. She's like, I'm recovered from my eating disorder and I like am in college and I'm working this job, and like, thank you so much. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Totally amazing, and I am forever grateful for that voicemail because I work with people and they leave and I have no idea if I've helped in a good way or like a not great way. I mean, if they don't like me, they leave and I don't hear about it. If
Yeah.
they do like me, they stay and then we're done, and I often don't hear about it. So like, so thankful. And I had no idea. Like, we were connected, we worked well together, but I had no idea. that I impacted her as much as I did.
Isn't that amazing? And I think that's twofold. Like, you didn't realize how much you impacted her, but I'm guessing she also doesn't understand or realize the impact that that voicemail had for
Oh,
you.
she has no clue because
You
we've
know what
never
I mean?
spoken. Yeah, we've never
Right.
spoken. Like I never
But
called her back. Like she
that's
doesn't
it.
know.
It's like
Yeah,
that's it. Like, say the things to people. Like,
yeah,
talk to them and tell them if they made a difference in your life.
yeah. She doesn't
Not
know that I'm talking about it. Oh my God. I think she probably called me in like 2010, 11. Like I don't know when she called me, 13, 14, but like literally it's been like 10 years probably, right?
Yeah. I love that.
Just
I also love
bananas.
that you saved the voicemail because
I
there
totally
I'm having like this memory um where like I actually think it was my coach told me told me that he creates a folder on his phone of like just like text messages that brought him joy or just things to remind him when he's having a really dark day or just a hard time, that like things that remind him that he does have really big positive impact in this world. Because we all have those days that we doubt it no matter what we do. And saving those little
I have a
voicemails.
file folder, Michelle. I have a
Yes.
file folder literally right here. I've
Yes.
printed off emails, I've kept cards, I've kept letters, I have all of the things, and it's like the good things folder. And so I
Yes.
haven't looked at it in a really long time, but I mean, I have like kept things in there for years and years and years.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
just think it's so cool
It's a great
how,
idea. I love that idea. Like have this little folder of things that's like,
yeah,
no, like you are a good person, you are a big deal, like you are
yeah.
impactful in the world.
And you can
Yeah.
tuck them everywhere, right? You can put them in your self-care toolkit. You can create a folder in your email. You can print them off and keep them in a, what'd you call it? The good things folder.
The good things folder.
Yeah, that's amazing,
You
right? You
can
can
put it in
have
like in the
a
front of your
folder in your
planner so that
pictures.
yeah, in front of your planner so that you know all the
Yeah.
things.
Because I think, I think sometimes people assume that as psychologists or as coaches or as, healers, so to speak, on one level or another,
Mhm.
the people in the world who show up in that way, I think people sometimes assume we've got it all figured out and we don't have dark days. And it's like, oh, that could not be further from the truth. Like we all have them.
I mean, I've been in clinical practice since 2009, like as like an intern or postdoc, and that's like before I was even in practicum. I still have days where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I do fundamentally, yes. Like I know that like I have my best intentions for my people. I don't want to hurt them. I'm on this journey with them, but that doesn't mean I know where we're going or what we're going to talk about or what we're going to do. Like, thank God I have some skills I can share. But at the end of the day, I'm surprised all the time. And I hit things where I'm like, huh, I wonder what I'm supposed to do with that.
That's funny. That actually just happened to me last night. I was in a coaching session and we were talking about, we were just sharing. She was sharing some things and talking about how she kind of fell off her routine and she can tell she fell off her routine and she's resisting getting back onto her routine, even though she's really noticed the benefits of her routine. So she was talking to her husband and asking, like, I need you to be on, one of those terrifying questions for husband. I need you to be really honest with this answer. Like, oh no, what am I going to have to say? And am I going to pay for this honesty? But the question was, did you notice when I was really diligent about my self-care routine, did you notice a difference? And the answer was absolutely yes. And then also shared that several other people had shared with him that they were noticing and asking what she was doing differently, which is amazing validation when you're on this path, right? And then she said, and now that I'm not as regular on it, can you tell? And he kind of got this like just seeing her face when she was describing his response, it was like this looking down and kind of sheepish, like, oh God, do I have to say this? And it was like, yeah, no, everybody can tell. And she was like, I don't know what it is. I get lazy. And the minute she said that, I got one of those pings, those downloads, right? Where I was like, all right, hang on. Like, you're calling it lazy, but is it possible that as a child, you weren't allowed to be joyful, to play, like when you did things that like filled your soul and that you knew were beneficial as part of your self-care routine, you knew they were good, but they were always stopped? And you were redirected to something different. And like the look on her face was just like, what just happened? She's like, I got goosebumps all over my body. She's like, yes, that's true. And like went into further, it led us to just like this deep, deep conversation. And it was like, there's a part of your energy body, like your subconscious level that doesn't believe you're supposed to find that soul joy, that
Mhm.
believes you're supposed to be interrupted. And then the thing is like it was always interrupted with tasks or chores. And I'm like, is that your go-to? Is like, are you always on top of that? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. Let's put some
Yep.
intention around that. Let's observe that for a little while and let's just
Mhm.
see where that takes you. And I think it's really important that your husband knows that you're in this now observed wound because chances are he will interrupt you inevitably when you're doing something for your soul care. And that might bring you into a whole bunch of places. And for him to know that
Mhm.
he's actually holding space in that moment is helpful. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, this is beautiful. I mean, the wound sucks,
Oh,
but the
absolutely.
process of seeing it and understanding that you're not lazy. You're like the least
No.
lazy human I know. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
Right.
outside of maybe Dan. You know what I mean? And it's just like that does not like you say those words and it doesn't even feel like you believe them. But yet there's a piece of you
Mhm.
that is believing them. So I just find it interesting how our brains keep us stuck, you know, out of this subconscious stuff that we have that we don't realize is there. And our brain is
Yes.
just so strong in telling us this thing. And we just stay there until, well, I mean, until,
Yeah. Well, and I think, we get messaging and it's not always verbal, right? Like it's also like modeling, it's also body language, it's also um just like cues from other people that you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not
yeah,
supposed to be having fun. You're not supposed to be um focusing on the thing that makes you happy. We're supposed to be focusing on productivity and doing the thing. And um that's not necessarily the best choice for us,
right?
like you have to have the balance and you have to like take care of yourself. Otherwise you can't continue to be productive.
Yeah. And I'm just connecting dots about a duality. I'm gonna have to tell her to listen to this episode. I'm connecting dots. It was like because some of her words when she was talking about her self-care routine were it's just starting to feel like a chore. But yet doing the chores is what she puts at the forefront because that's safe. But this particular chore is something that does her
Uh,
good. Well, not that the others don't, but it's just a different, do you know what I mean? It's a different
yeah,
relationship. And so then when she was calling it a chore, it's almost like I wonder if on a subconscious level that was like a gateway to bring her into it versus take her out of it. I don't know. I think that's fascinating. But
mhm.
it like messies it up. It makes it messy. Oh, I don't know. I love this work. I love digging into it and finding the root causes and how they relate to what we're creating as obstacles or what are the obstacles
Yeah,
and have been for years, right? I mean, that's years. And I
right.
just find
I would-
I don't it, like in your practice, because I don't want to say always. I'm not an always or never kind of human. I feel like that's rare that that's the case, but it sure as heck seems like most of our wounds are created in childhood. I mean, not that things can't happen later, but it just seems like those deep ones that we don't know that takes longer to uncover and that we're like we have these stories we tell ourselves, whether it be we're
mhm.
not worthy or we don't get to be happy or whatever it is. I feel like
Right.
those tend to come from youth, from something that
Well,
happened
if
in
you
childhood.
so okay, preschool teacher in a former life,
I know.
think about
Well,
think about critical periods and sensitive periods, right?
yeah.
So like there are critical periods. So I have a girlfriend, very close friend, and her daughter had a heart transplant at like 3 months old. And so when we think about her being in the hospital, and being on oxygen and being like tube fed and all of these things, like she missed the window for learning how to breathe, suck, swallow, right?
Mm,
So she never learned how to bottle feed. And so feeding and figuring out how to like swallow food and breathe at the same time and like make all of those muscle groups work like they're supposed to. She missed that opportunity because she wasn't like a normal quote unquote like kid that could do that. And so she missed this really critical period in life. And so then that of course affected all types of things. Because she was in a hospital bed, she didn't get to like figure out those big motor like muscle groups. And so like there's a lot of core strength stuff that like sort of fell behind the normal developmental place, um because she was in a hospital bed and she wasn't able to do normal kiddo things that other kiddos get to do. And so she's had a very, very different developmental trajectory, you know.
Hmm.
So I mean, if you think about just like comparing those things, like, of
Yeah.
course. And then when we don't have those periods in adulthood,
Right.
right? Like we don't have critical periods or sensitive periods in adulthood. Like at 26, our brain's done developing, our skeleton's done developing, our body's done developing. We know, we're starting to really know who we are and figure ourselves out. And all of that stuff happens early.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. Now you have me in my preschool classroom. I'm like going through all the kids.
Right, right.
Just like fascinating.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
I think you make a great point and it makes a ton of sense. Like if I think about it in terms of just like growth and development.
yeah. And it's like, inner child and shadow work feel strong and powerful, but also disconnected to me. But when I'm one-on-one with people and I'm like, how's that little girl doing inside of you? Or where's that little boy and what does he need? Or what's he afraid of, or what's she afraid of, or what does she need? I mean, I really find that even talking to myself in that way as I do the work is fascinating,
Hmm.
and it feels, I don't know, there's something about like it needs to feel connected and personal when you start diving into those things because
Yeah.
we're not willing to dive into those things solo. Like we need support on that. I believe that.
Oh, a
I
hundred
I
percent.
just
Because when
think
you're,
like you need that there's courage in community. There's strength in numbers. Like I believe that's true even on the personal growth work. Like you are the one who gets to do that work and you are the only one that can, you know, heal yourself. But there are
mhm,
catalysts to healing in that. There's support to that. There's like a million different things. It's like you're not alone in doing it, but you
mhm,
are the one and you get to claim it. You get to claim it and celebrate it that like I am doing this work for myself. And in doing it for myself, it helps all those other people that are in
mhm,
my world. And I just find it fascinating. I don't remember who I was talking to. It was recently. I was talking about like, you know, you doing this work is inspiring so many different people around you, and you don't even necessarily see that or realize it because you having that courage and strength to show up and even just share it from not necessarily of like ABC is happening, but just like to be willing to be seen
mhm.
is so powerful. And so many of us try and hide it, right? Like so many people try and hide the messy.
Like, why? We're all messy.
Oh gosh. So yeah,
Some of us
I
might.
almost was like, we're gonna have to pull something from the records because I don't have a voice. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take my man voice and I'm gonna show up for this podcast. And we'll just see what happens.
You can just have a sultry
Right?
little little tenor in there.
I was just on a call and they were like, ooh, talk dirty to me. And I was like, no,
Like I
no.
feel too crappy. I can't.
Right. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But thank you. I don't know. Right. Um,
Yeah.
but just thinking about so many profound stories of, I feel like the deeper we dig or the deeper we dive or the more willing we're able to go in the community. I'm talking specifically about like our people, our community, Cat,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the people that we've been connecting with over time here. It's a beautiful thing when we all come together and like know without a doubt that we can lean in for support and know without a doubt that we can say anything. I'm thinking now about another person who was in a summit and literally like came in and was like, yeah, I don't want to be a mom. I'm a mom and I don't want to be a mom. I don't really know what to do about that or what to think about that or how, and then it was like, okay, well, let's just sit with that for a hot second, and then over time it was like, oh, like she's one of the best moms out there, super loves her kids. Not true that she doesn't want to be a mom. What she didn't want to be was her mom. And there was a lot of fear around that. And there was a lot of stories in her brain about that. And it's like, one thing at a time and that's the thing. It's like when you're willing to say it out loud in a group of people, well, A, when you're willing to do that, but B, you're willing to do that because it's an amazing group of people. Like these are
Mhm.
people who can hold space and they're not going to judge you or be like, how dare you say such a thing? You should be, whatever. I mean, there's all the things that those kinds of statements can go to, but it's like literally everyone's like, oh yeah, I've been there. The number of people are just like, yep, get it. And
Totally. Yeah. And as you were talking about like doing this work, um, and the importance of having a community, because I think like, I personally spend a lot of time reflecting and thinking and wondering about my patterns and what I'm doing well, what I'm not doing well. And I can think myself in circles, right?
Mhm.
But like, I can't think myself out of where I am, who I am, the patterns I'm in. Like, and I should be able to, right, quote unquote, because I'm a psychologist and I know all the things. But reality is like I'm not built that way. Like I need humans. I need people to
Yeah.
bounce things off of and be like, so am I the a-hole here, or like what's happening? And I cannot tell you how many conversations Michelle and I have had about, okay, can you just like give me a reality check about like this situation? Am I being a jerk? Are they being a jerk? Like, what's happening here? I feel super gaslit. I feel like I'm the bad guy. Like, help me navigate this, because I can't, like, I have too much cognitive flexibility that I can spin things a lot of different ways. And then I just get all tangled up in a big mess. And I'm like,
Yeah.
help me tackle all this. Like, I'm drowning. And like, I can't do it. I mean, I think some people can, and like, wow, good on them, but like I am not that human, man. And so for me, I have to have humans that I can actually be super honest and super real with. Otherwise, I'm never going to make the moves that I want to make and do the things that I want to do.
100% without a doubt. And I love that that's a two-way street, by the way. We both
Yeah.
lean on each other in that way. And honestly, I'm not sure there are people out there who can I mean, I think everyone has a line where their ability to check themselves is out.
Yeah.
Everyone has a line where it's like, okay, I need to lean on someone. Like I'm a tarot reader and I do intuitive readings for people all the time. When I'm in it, there is zero chance I can read for myself because all my messy energy goes into that
Mm-hmm.
reading and I don't have
Mm-hmm.
clarity. Like if I'm in an okay spot, I can read for myself and get that aha moment and redirect. Like they always redirect my loop, like tarot's great for that. Oracle, anything where you're just connecting to your high self or your divine source and like getting a different perspective. Like that is my
Mm-hmm.
favorite thing. But sometimes I am not capable of getting a different perspective. I am too in the muck. I am too stuck in that suck. And there is zero chance that I'm getting out of, I'm not going anywhere outside of that bubble that I'm in because I'm in a pity party and I'm having fun there, which is absolutely not true. But I am telling myself that that's true. So like I need somebody else to be able to be like, hey, like let's just snap this in a different way. Let's understand that like you get to choose to stay here right now if you need to be there for a little while. And also there's this other option. There's this other possibility. There's this other place you can navigate to. And I'm here to walk you to it if you choose to go. And I think
Yeah.
those are the kind of people that are in this community. It's amazing. And the
I
more people that I meet, I just am like, damn, I love this. And it's like we have this vibration that is like this magnetic, like, oh, you too? Amazing. Welcome. Come on in. Whether it
absolutely.
be on a personal friendship level, whether it be on a, coaching business capacity, whether it be hey, we just want to come into this community because you're a bunch of cool cats and we want to do this stuff, it's like it's coming from all angles and I don't know. It's something that I didn't I thought I had and then I realized it was all because I didn't have boundaries and I wasn't very good at it was all, me over giving and doing things. And I'm not saying that from a righteous way. I'm literally saying that from a self-destructive way. Like
Yes.
I was not in a place where I was calling in healthy relationships. I was fostering unhealthy ones,
Mm.
you know.
I have a a jerk therapist confession I can talk about in terms of just being super real
Oh,
and
beautiful.
getting like, super real feedback. I had a client and I don't she eating issues, history of some overeating or binge eating and then purging. And we were talking about something and she was having like a body image related meltdown. And I was like, well, okay. So we've done this pattern for like how many years? And she's like, I don't know, 15, 20. And I go, how's that working for you? And she just stopped and looked at me and I was like, but for real though, right? Like if you keep doing the same thing, the same thing's gonna happen. And we're just gonna stay stuck in the loop on the 8-lane highway in LA, and you cannot find the exit ramp that you need, right? Like we have to do something different. And so how do you start to like shift lanes and put your blinker on and say like, okay, pump the brakes, put your blinker on, like I need to move to the right. Never mind, don't pump your brakes. Put your blinker on, go to the right, then pump
Yeah.
your brakes. Pump your brakes when you hit the exit ramp. But being able to like slow yourself down and figure out like, okay, this is not helping. Why am I doing this? Actually, it doesn't even matter why in this moment, but just like get off the highway and get your brain to go do something else, because like staying in the same pattern, can be self-destructive, just like you said.
Well, and that brings up a good point. It's like the community, we talk about it being like this safe space and, we all support each other. But the reality is sometimes that support looks like the sword. It looks like the very
Oh,
blunt, direct, like, are you
yeah.
kidding me? Get over yourself. That you've been doing this for how long? Like moving
Hmm.
on, and we do that stuff too. But we know it never feels like it's coming from judgment. It always feels like it's like, oh, I got you. I was there a month ago, you
Yeah,
know, and you got to get off this. You got to get off this path. And
right. And
yeah.
I am like a wildly sensitive human, and my feelings are hurt over like freaking everything. Like, I'm such a weenie when okay, so I'm saying that I'm a weenie to myself in the nicest possible way, right? Like my heart's on my sleeve. I'm a very tender human. And if I can tolerate hard feedback in this group, or like the sword in this group, like you'll be okay. I promise. Like please come, please hang with us. Like please let us like help you and like be with you on this journey, because Lord knows it's hard. And I mean, even the sword in this group is pretty effing funny.
Oh
And
gosh,
we
yeah.
can, yeah, I mean, and it gets framed in really loving, really kind ways. A lot of snark, a lot of levity, and just like honesty about like, oh girl, we love you and you got to do something different. Like this is not working for you.
Yeah. I gotta say, laughing through the pain for me is one of my favorite things. And I know that sounds almost maybe sick and twisted, but like legit. I mean, if I'm gonna be in the wound anyway, I might as well at least get to laugh about it a little.
Yeah.
And understanding and being respectful of the fact that I know that it's not really funny, but also like the irony of some of this stuff is super funny. And I love laughing at that dark stuff. And if that makes me a horrible human, well, I mean, nobody in the group feels that way.
It,
I've never gotten feedback where it's like, Michelle, you're just a little too dark for me. So like I've never gotten that feedback, but um I think I think sometimes when we're really in it, we forget to laugh. And I think laughter is and creativity and playfulness is one of the ways out of those really awful things. And it gives you like a thread of hope to hang on to climb your way out of wherever you are. And I think that's beautiful and magical. And I'm careful and cautious not to do it when you're like really, really in that place where like, oh, not it's too soon, not funny
oh
yet.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's timing for sure. And also like the goal is at some point there's joy somewhere in there, you
Mhm.
know? Um,
You bring up like this amazing point that like just popped in my head, is like when we're in the suck and we're in that super super dark place that like hurts really really bad, there's so much rigidity
mhm.
in like how we feel and like in the story we tell ourselves, right? Like you talk about like being locked in,
Yeah.
like in our thinking patterns, but I also feel like we get locked into feeling a certain way.
Mhm.
Those thought feeling behavior like triangle where everything's like interconnected and everything impacts each other. Like we get so stuck, and it's so hard to find your way out on your own sometimes.
Yeah. I think most of the time when you're in that spot, it's hard to get out on your own. And I think
Yeah.
there's a really fine line, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, and maybe you don't feel called to, but like, I think there's a really fine line between like calling your people and codependency. And maybe it's because I grew up I believe I grew up in a codependent family, maybe not, but it felt that way when hindsight, when I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, we were codependent on all
Hmm.
the things. And that's why, so for me, it's like important for me to pause and sort of reflect and decide for myself first, and then I can call on my people. Because otherwise,
Hmm.
I'm just waiting for someone else to come rescue me or to be in it with me versus like, no, no, like I have to.
Hmm.
There is a piece of me that knows that I have to. I can't just be like, well, I know this human's going to get me out of this state, so I need that human. It's like, no, no, hang on. You can take this power for yourself, and you can do that and celebrate it, and then that human can, you know, join you and amplify it for you. But like for me, if I don't look at
Hmm.
it for myself first, it can get really messy really quickly. And then suddenly I'm like, wait, why is my first thought now to somebody else instead of to like what I need, you know? Because like what
Hmm.
I need is not something that what I need, what I actually need is a muscle that I had to build because I didn't give myself that growing up. It was like, I
Hmm.
don't know what I need. I need to show up how everybody else wants me to show up. So that means I don't have needs. I do what I'm supposed to do because I like to be good, you know? And now I'm like, hang on.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't
Which
know.
is fascinating because I'm the opposite. I will wait and I will sit and I will be in it for a long time before I actually make the call. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at some point I get out of my kiddie pool of self-pity and feeling shitty. So oops, sorry, feeling
No,
terrible.
that's good.
And
We swear on here.
okay. And then I decide like, all right, I need somebody to help me with this. Like I can't do this on my own. And that's when I make the panicked phone call. I just made one on Sunday night about something to a friend. I was like, and she was like, it's okay. We're doing this together. It's gonna be okay. Like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, P.S. Your swear back there where you said something about pity and shitty. It's like, yeah, when you're in a pity party, you do feel shitty. Pity is shitty.
It rhymes. It has to
It's
go together.
true. Yeah, we like rhymes. We like alliteration. We like all those things. I mean, pity and shitty is an alliteration, but it definitely rhymes. Oh, I love it. I feel like that's a good place to wrap it up. What do you think?
Works for me. I'm flexible.
Thanks for being here.
Oh my
This was
gosh,
a
thank you
fun
for
one
having
today.
me.
I appreciate it very much.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
if people want to find you, how do they find you? Let's remind them.
Oh, so I'm Kat, Katinka Inc. Catinka, INK. That's me on Instagram. I am Catherine Lynn on Facebook, and then you can email me at Kat Kronemeyer. It's CRONEMEYER at yahoo.com.
Beautiful. Yay. And you can find us
Yeah,
on all the social media channels that will be linked in the episode. There's Michelle Albers, there's JD, and there's Hypothetically Intentional. So I don't know. We got lots of different ways you can contact us, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks for being
definitely.
here with us today. Bye. Be you every day.